What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Tide Talk podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. Stacey Blackwood here with Jake Thomas. Jake, what's up, buddy?
Man, doing great. Got through the work week, and we've got the weekend to look forward to. We got some Bama Hoops on the way, and we also got the football team back in action this weekend. So it's got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it's been a busy week for us Alabama fans, but with the hoops team getting started, and like you mentioned, the college football rankings coming out earlier this week, and then a football game this Saturday. So there's a lot going on in Tuscaloosa, and a lot to be excited about, and we're gonna kind of take a look at all that.
And also, real quick, all the recruits that have come in
Yeah.
throughout out the sports this week has been amazing as well. We got a lot of good young talent across the board this week, so it's great to see.
That's right. Well, before we really dive too far into that, like always, we got to tell you about our friends at betonline.ag. The NFL season is in full swing. So is college hoops, college football, the NBA. So there's plenty to be betting on. And when you want to place those bets, you need to go to betonline.ag. And while you're there, sign up today or use your mobile device. You can sign up there as well and use promo code BELIEVE50 and you will receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. All right, guys. So the chat's open. So feel free to jump in there with any questions or comments, and we'll try our best to get to those. We're not going to stay too long tonight. It's Friday night, so we got stuff we want to do, like everybody else in the world. But we did want to get a quick episode out and talk a little bit about what's going on with football and basketball and just Alabama athletics in general. And let's just start, Jake. The second edition of the college football rankings come out on Tuesday night. Uh, no massive changes. Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Oregon 3, and Ohio State at 4. Any issues with the top 4?
Not really. Everybody's kind of wanting Bama to drop a little bit after the way they played. But I mean, we already talked about that game, and in hindsight, everybody talks about how you're gonna get everybody's A game. Alabama's gonna get everybody's A game, and you know LSU. This is pretty much their Super Bowl, so they was going in. They was going to try to win. So honestly, to be completely honest, I'm trying to be unbiased as possible. I still think Alabama is one of the top teams in the nation.
Well, I mean, everybody struggled last week, and Ohio
Yeah,
State did not play well against Nebraska. Cincinnati had to have a fortunate fumble at the goal line by was it Tulsa or
yeah,
to win that game. So, I mean, who are you going to move up over them? I mean,
right.
Oregon had a struggle win as well over a Washington team that's not very good. So, uh, aside from all what you said, which was all a great point, nobody else, moved the needle enough to say, yeah, we're better than Alabama. So, I think the committee done the right thing by pretty much leaving it the same. Of course, Michigan State did lose, so they dropped a little bit. But I thought it was interesting that Michigan State is one spot behind Michigan when it was just 2 weeks ago that Michigan State beat Michigan. So that part was a little interesting to me, but uh, that will work itself out. We talked about how that was going to work
Yeah,
itself out anyway because of how the Big Ten regular season would finish out, and then of course whatever happens in the Big Ten championship. But other than that, Alabama still has 17th ranked Auburn on their schedule and 25th ranked Arkansas on their schedule. So two ranked teams remaining on their schedule, and if they get through those two games unscathed, they'll be playing the top team in the country there in the SEC championship game.
hmm
So there's a lot to do for this Alabama football team.
absolutely. And talking about it all working itself out, Purdue. I'm not going to say they're going to pull the upset, but Purdue's already beat the number 2 team this year and the number 3. Now they're getting to play the number 4 team in Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it could definitely work itself out this weekend
Boy,
potentially.
you talking about some quality wins.
Yeah, and I think they're ranked. They're finally ranked like
Yeah, they're
the
finally
top.
ranked, but they've got like 3 losses on the year.
They do, but I mean they have beat some really great teams and they play really well, against those top teams. Of
Yeah.
course, I know it was early in the season, and we all see how Iowa is now. I don't think Iowa's offense it's
No.
just horrendous. So
Right.
They had their spotlight for a couple of games, but they, I just don't think they're a top 4 team offensively. So the top 4 I have no problems with at all as it
No,
sits right now.
no, me either. Hey, and before we talk about the hoops team, real quick, which they tip off here in just a little bit as well, so we're excited about that. But I want to, since Texas A&M beat Alabama, they've really been on a roll, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
They're making that loss look a little better because Texas A&M's playing as good as anybody else in the country right now.
They could potentially win out the
Yeah,
way they're playing.
yeah. I'll be honest with you. I wish Ole Miss would beat them
I know.
this Saturday, but
I know it.
but
I know it.
anyways, yeah, no real issues really with the rankings, and of course we talked. It's really inconsequential, the rankings right now. I mean, it don't really mean anything till the final one. So,
Right.
uh, and there's still a lot of football to be played. So, we'll kind of look at that each week, though, and kind of break that down and give our thoughts and opinions each and every week as they release the rankings. But let's talk a little bit about the Hoots team, Jake. They got a big time win against a really quality opponent in Louisiana Tech on Tuesday night, and it was really a team effort, Jake. Keon Ellis played well, Shackelford played well, Quinterly played well, J.D. Davison played well, Darius Miles played well off the bench, Jawan Gary was a beast. I mean, it was just really an all-around team performance. And, Jake, there's 8 or 9 guys on that team that are capable of going for 15 to 20 points each and every time they go out. This team could be scary good when it's all said and done.
Man, yeah, that was a joy to see. It was incredible, and I think one of the highlight moments was when I think Ellis got a steal, and him and JD was running up the court, and JD got fouled, but he still finished and dunked it, and I mean that place erupted, and man, this team. I have loved every single Coach Oates team since he's been down there because I mean, Coach Oates, it don't matter. It's funny. We always talk about that Nick Saban could take 2 and 3-star players and make them champions. I feel like Nate Oates can take 2 and 3-star basketball players and make them champions because I mean that's just the type of coach he is. So I mean he's always had a great team, and now this team right here is going to be scary good. And I mean like you said, there's 8 or 9 guys that can go 15, 20 every night. And like you said on Twitter, you said that Jawan Gary is cut from a different cloth. I mean,
He is, man.
He's great. I mean,
He's just a different dude.
He is.
His energy level
Yes.
is on another level from anybody else. And it's not that the other guys don't play with great energy. It's just that his is a notch above everybody else's for whatever reason.
It's
amazing.
Mean,
there's not a rebound in a game if he's in that he ain't going to be around. He is going after that basketball. Just an incredible performance by Jawan Gary. I'm looking at the stats here, and Gary off the bench, 12 points, 10 rebounds, and just 21 minutes of action.
Wow.
Just a double-double. And Keon Ellis was 1 rebound shy of a double-double. He had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Jake, he's Herb Jones without quite the length and maybe not quite as good as defensively all around, or maybe not as versatile defensively as what Herb was, because Herb could really guard 1 through 5. Keon's more of 1 through 3, but he's elite 1 through 3. And on the offensive end, he's an NBA player. I mean, I'm not an NBA scout, but when I watch Keon Ellis play, I see an NBA dude.
Absolutely, and like you mentioned, we had our buddy Lane on to preview the basketball team last week, and I asked the question who he felt like could be our Herb Jones, and he thought it could be J.D. Davison, but Keon Ellis looks like he's going to be our next Herb Jones, just a menace on the court on the defensive side. I mean, I was very impressed with him, and this team, it seems like when somebody's having an off night shooting, they're going to get picked up. It seemed like a couple of years ago we was having problems where when our elite scorer wasn't doing good, we didn't have that next guy to step up and take over the game. We, like you said, all 5 of the starters can do that if need be. And
Well,
I
even the
thought
guys off the bench. I
off the
mean,
bench as well.
with Gary coming off the bench,
Hmm.
J.D. Davidson, if he continues to come off the bench, of course, I know a lot of that's going to have to do with matchups.
Right.
Bediako got the start, and I think that was mostly because of their big guy that they threw out there, who kind of got gassed in the game and couldn't play really in the second half. And
Yeah,
but
Alabama running up and down the court.
even Bediako, I know he had a bunch of fouls, but two of them were really bad calls. But
Hmm.
he played with great effort,
He
and,
did.
and you can tell that's going to be a guy who's going to get 6 points a game just from offensive rebounds and putbacks, and once he gets a little more experience in game, he's going to become an elite defender, an elite rim protector for Alabama, and whether that's in the starting lineup or off the bench, that's going to be really a positive impact for this team. And you talked about guys, maybe being in a slump or something. Quinley didn't have his best night shooting.
Right.
Gurley did not have his best night offensively, but
Hmm.
the rest of the team picked him up and carried the weight for him. Darius Miles come off the bench, hit every one of his shots. So it's this team's deep, and they're going to get better each and every time they get on the court. And I'm just really excited to see how they kind of continue to develop throughout the season. And of course, like we mentioned, they tip off here in just a little bit against another really quality team in South
Hmm.
Dakota State. So I'm excited to see how they respond after a really big win on Tuesday night.
Absolutely. And speaking of DiBiase, real quick, you was talking about his length. I'm glad he's getting a little bit of game time because Auburn's got them two big boys down low, so we're going to need somebody with some length when it comes to that matchup, and he gives us the best shot, and just able to let our guys go from it. And he's like, guys, I got the down low. You take care of the rest. So I'm glad we got him because I think, like you said, he's going to be special.
Yeah, and Shackelford just continues to rein it
Hmm.
in from the 3-point line, hitting four the other night, 4 of 10 from the 3-point line. I'll take that
Oh
every
yeah,
single game.
40% shoot. Yeah.
So Shackelford just continues to be a really good shooter for this team, and he looks like he's been working on his body. He looks a little thinner,
Hmm.
and maybe a little more athletic. He played much better defensively than what he's played in the past. So it looks like every guy on the team has improved since last season. And you're talking about a team that went 16-2 in the SEC last year. Made it to the Sweet 16. Even though this year's team may be better all the way around, they may not have that same type record because the SEC is loaded, man. I mean,
Oh man.
Kentucky's good, Arkansas is
Yeah.
good, Auburn's good.
Hmm.
Uh, Tennessee is
Tennessee.
good.
Yeah.
LSU will be good. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of good basketball teams. So it's not going to be easy. So I'm expecting 4, 5, 6 losses in conference play, but shoot, we'll still have a really good basketball team, and it's deep. They can score, and they're going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. And going on that is, I believe that's why Nate Oates has schedules these tough opponents because, like, I think you mentioned it when we did our preview with Lane, but like Arkansas last year, they just had a weak non-conference schedule. They got into SEC play and they got rolled a few games. But
Yeah.
Alabama was rolling coming into SEC play last year because they was playing quality opponents leading up. They knew who they were, and that's why Nate Oates schedules these to see,
Yeah.
hey, who are we going to be? And that December 4th matchup, and somebody put on Twitter this week, and I retweeted and said, well, I would be unbearable if this happens, but they said if we beat Kansas in this tournament or this invitational win, and we win out until then, it could be 1 versus 2 when we play Gonzaga, and I would be unbearable if that
Oh, you
happened.
golly.
I mean, so I'm
You
so
think
super
Alabama
excited.
football fans are unbearable? Just
Whew.
wait till you see some Alabama basketball fans when the team is as good as anybody else in the country, and I think we are. I mean, I
I do
think
too.
on any given day we can beat any given team. So
Yeah.
this team's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and
Hmm.
I'm excited about what Nate Oates has brought to Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely, we got to pay the man, and there's rumblings about a new arena, so
Make it
please let it
happen.
happen. Make it
Make it
happen.
happen.
Give him the blueprints and let him design it whatever he wants.
That's exactly right. All right, hey Jake, real quick, let's talk a little bit about the New Mexico State game tomorrow. at 11 a.m. on SEC Network. Just real quick, touch on that. What are you looking for, Jake, after last week's struggle win against LSU? What are you wanting to see from the team? Real quick, on each side of the ball, and maybe a couple players you're going to keep your eye on in the contest tomorrow.
Well, I'll speak on offensively first. One thing I want to keep an eye on is, if they are sending 7, 8 guys, I want to see if Bill O'Brien does in-game adjustments that it seemed like he didn't do last week. The other thing is I want to see how the offensive line responds, and I want to see how Damian George as right tackle, how he's going to play. You put out on your article this today that that he was one of your top 5 players to watch, and I was reading what you said, and you're all over it. He didn't play a perfect game, but he played well enough to get the start this week. And if Dalcourt's still not 100%, put Owens at center and put him at right tackle. Who knows? We might need him down the road, so let him get a little bit of experience. But I think he's going to more playing time is going to get him better regardless. So I think he was going to grow, and we'll be fine at right tackle. I just don't see them having much of a defensive push against us. So
right.
defensively, we talked great about how the defense looked. Bama basketball looking good. Absolutely.
That's right, Heath. I work with Heath. He's a good dude. We holler roll tide at each other all day long.
Roll tide, Heath. But,
appreciate you watching, Heath.
Yeah.
But you're right. Offensively, I hope that George can get that start at right tackle and kind of see what he can do. I will say this: New Mexico State, from what I hear, is a pretty aggressive team defensively, kind of the way LSU played last week, which is good. I mean, I'm not saying they can push us the way LSU did, but it's good to get those looks in a in-game scenario. So it'd be a chance for the team to get better and see what they can do. Kenneth Washington says he would like to see Alex Chico in the lineup. Yeah. Coach Oates said that he would be missing the first 2 games with a suspension. Don't know the reason. Don't know what happened there. So he'll be out again tonight. But I expect to see him, moving forward throughout the season. Thanks for watching and commenting, Kenneth. But back to tomorrow's game. For those just joining us, the first few minutes we talked about the college football rankings. And then for the next several minutes, we talked about the basketball team. And now, as we kind of wind down today's episode, we're talking a little bit about the matchup tomorrow with New Mexico State. And, we're excited about that. It obviously doesn't move the needle like the Alabama, Arkansas game will or anything like that. But the offensive line is obviously what we're going to be looking for offensively.
Yes.
And maybe even the tight end stepping back up and kind of getting a role again in this offense, because it's just they have been, missing from action for several weeks now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree, Heath. And Saban said on his post or his show last night that they responded well at practice, talking about the whole team. So we'll see how that goes. Usually we don't get up for games like this. So if we're having a real good week at practice, and I'm sure somebody got their butt lit up, this week. So there may be some chewed out butts on that team, and they're going to play harder. I'm hoping we get the running game going back again too, because B-Rob did not have a good game last Saturday. But Roy Dale, I expect him to have. I love B-Rob, and he ought to be our first guy. But I still feel like we need to get Roy Dale some more touches during the game. I mean, he's just something special.
Yeah, he's got a pop to him, man. He touches the ball. He has a little more explosion than what B-Rob has. But yeah, I'm with you. I want to see that running game be featured a little bit more than what it was against LSU, especially early on in the game. I mean, we talked about it. O'Brien had made no effort to get the running game established against LSU, and it kind of bit him in the butt. It made us one-dimensional, and then it allowed LSU to play with their ears pinned and just rush the passer. So it really done a lot of damage to the offense.
Yeah, and one other thing concerning your article that I read today, you mentioned that you're interested to see who the third option is going to be. I know you said about the tight ends, But wide receiver wise,
Yep.
I mean, J-Mo and Metch are killing it. And
Yep.
I mean, they're still going to get their touches. They're still going to get their yards. But if we need a check down option, we need either the tight ends or Earl, Jai Hall, Trayshawn Holden, somebody to step up and be that third check down guy. And I'm interested to see if we may go more towards that this week as well to see who might be that
I
next guy.
I get the feeling that we're going to see some different guys this week,
I
not
do
just
too.
because it's New Mexico State, but because it's time to find some other dudes that can impact the offense. So
Hmm.
I expect to see some different faces this week. But real quick, yeah, Heath says running backs got to do something. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
agreed.
need some explosive plays from the running backs.
Hmm.
Totally agree. But
Yeah.
defensively, Jake, let's look at this defense. It's hard to really get a good gauge against a team like New Mexico State. They're obviously a far inferior opponent to Alabama,
Right.
but uh, I hope that they can really shut them down quick and early. And they throw the ball a lot, so our secondary will probably be tested quite a bit. But I trust those guys, especially the corners. But I just hope we don't get anybody hurt on the defensive side of the ball
I
because they
know.
seem to be finding their way late in the season.
Absolutely. And what I was going to say earlier was, I can't fault the defense of anything that they did wrong. They might have missed a couple of assignments last week, but they clamped down when they needed to. I mean, that was only a 6-point game, and LSU had 2 drives that they got fairly good field position to get in, to get a touchdown and possibly a extra point to win the game, and our defense just clamped down on them. So I think defensively, like you said, we're getting there. We're getting better. Had a lot more. Of course, when you got Philadelphia Matheson on your defensive line, he
Yeah,
can't be stopped. And of course, Will Anderson. But it seems like the defensive line itself, as a whole, is getting a lot better.
absolutely.
And that's what we've been wanting to watch and see how they progress
Well,
throughout the season.
we talked about it early in the year that the middle of the defense, needed to play better, and the
Hmm.
defensive line has played better, and also Christian Harris and Henry Toa they've both played their best games the last couple weeks. If you go back to Mississippi State all the way to last week against LSU, they've played their best football of the season, and if
Hmm.
they continue that, the defense is just going to get better. If
Hmm.
the secondary can continue to clean up the mistakes,
Yep.
the defense is just going to be one of the better defenses in the country. So I hope they can continue to make progress in
Hmm.
that area and kind of help carry this team a little bit because the offense is still. It's weird to say because they've scored a lot of points this year, but they don't seem to have an identity.
Right.
They're even this far along in the season, even with as many points as this offense have scored, we don't seem to have an identity. Bryce Young has covered up a lot of deficiencies in this offense. We've talked about
Absolutely.
that all year long. So we need to find an identity. If that's with different guys out wide, if that's with making a more concentrated effort on running the ball, or if that's
Hmm.
trying to find the tight ends more, whatever it is, being better up front along the offensive line. There's a lot that goes into having a good offense, and it just doesn't seem like they've all gelled together quite yet. But there's still 3 regular season games to go,
Right.
and then maybe a SEC championship game, and then who knows what happens then. So uh, I still think everything this team wants to accomplish is still out in front of them. It's just about getting better every day and then proving it on the field on Saturday.
Absolutely. And yeah, Bryce 100 for sure.
He's the truth.
Yeah. You was talking about guys who have improved and playing their best ball. Jordan Battle is playing his best
Yep.
ball probably since he's been at Alabama. And so, there's some guys in that secondary I'd like to see step up, like Malachi, Brian Branch. I mean, they're uber talented. Malachi has not had the type of year that I expected, but Battle seems to be getting it going. Jalen Armour Davis has been playing outstanding. Is he going to be able to play this week? Have you heard his injury status or
I
the
haven't
injury
heard
list?
anything updated
I
on
hadn't either.
him, but we might see a situation this week where it's Kool-Aid and Josh Jobe, or if Jalen Armour Davis can play, but we might not play either Jobe or uh, you know uh, Jalen Armour Davis this week, like we
Yeah,
did against Mercer and start Kool-Aid. Of course,
yeah.
Marcus Banks is transferring out, so maybe we see a guy like Kyrie Jackson play some. So,
I'm fine with that. Let them
right,
guys heal up if they need to, because we're going to need them for out Arkansas and out and now Auburn for sure.
that's right. All right, guys. Hey, we're fixing to wrap this up. Get go. Oh, real quick,
Oh,
Kenneth's got a question. Real quick, what's going on with Trey Sanders? Yeah, he's really talented, but I'll be honest with you, Kenneth. From everything I'm hearing, he's still only about 75 to 80% healthy.
yeah,
So they just don't want to get him in too quick and rush things. So they're just kind of taking it slowly and making sure. And also, he's got to be better at the other things besides running with the football.
he's got
He's
to
got to be better.
block.
He's got to be better in protection. So that's a couple of things that are kind of hindering Trey Sanders from getting more playing time. But I agree, he's a talented guy, and hopefully he can get on the field, sooner rather than later.
My gosh, it's funny we talk about that, but next year, yeah, we're losing B Rob, but my gosh, we're still going to have Sanders back. We're going to have Jason McClellan back. We're still going to have Roydale Williams, and we got Kamar Wheaton coming in,
Yeah.
or coming up. I
Yep.
mean, my
Emmanuel
gosh,
Henderson is
yeah,
the top back in the class. So
good night. It's incredible.
yeah. Hey Frank, thanks for tuning in real quick. Ranked 72nd in rushing. That's terrible. 82nd in sacks. That's also very
That's
bad.
awful.
Saban alluded to the scheme hinged a lot. Yep. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, there's the offensive line has just not been good. I mean, let's just be
No.
real, and we've danced around that all season long. We try to give the guys, I don't want to berate a bunch of college kids
No.
on a YouTube channel, so that's just not who I am. But they got to be
No.
better. It's just the truth.
Yeah, and who knows? We may see new faces in the offensive line this week too. You don't know. Maybe the Brockmeyer twins may get in. I don't know that for a fact, but you may see Latham. You may, of course, George be out there already, but you may see some different faces just to see how it goes.
Yeah.
I feel like this game will be one of those where you try to, you know, pick, just nitpick everything and see what works and see what don't. So
A question I have, and it's just kind of as we kind of fade away. How much of the blame for the offensive line goes on, first year offensive line coach Doug Marrone? I mean, because Jake, this is as a bad offensive line as we've had
yeah,
since I can remember.
I know it is. It's incredibly. I mean, this is the worst probably since the 2007 with the Saban's first year at Alabama.
Heath makes a good point here. And this is
Mm-hmm.
a great point of view. Every
That's
year,
a good
Bama
point,
has
Heath.
something to fix, and 9 times out of 10 they get it done. That's a good point, Heath.
Yeah,
Appreciate you popping that, optimistic viewpoint before we wrap
that's
things
right.
up. But that is going to do it for tonight's episode. We appreciate everybody that jumped in the chat. Roll Tide, everybody. We had a lot of fun doing this. Make sure you tune in tonight to the basketball game. I think you can catch it on, SEC Network Plus or something
Yeah,
like that.
here in an hour.
Yeah, so here, yeah, in just a little over an hour. So
Mm-hmm.
make sure you check that out. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, just wherever you find great podcasts. All right, guys. Until next time, roll tide.
Roll Tide.